All right, so ready to dive in. Today, we're taking a look at the Qing Dynasty.
The Qing Dynasty, yeah.
Using, well, we've got excerpts from the Wikipedia article.
Okay.
But I think what's interesting about the Qing Dynasty is that you might think, okay, Chinese history, you've got the Han Chinese.
Right, right.
But the Qing Dynasty wasn't actually founded by them.
It wasn't.
It was founded by the Manchus.
Yeah.
People with a completely different heritage.
Yeah, and they end up creating this huge empire, the largest in Chinese history.
Yeah, it's incredible. So how did that even happen?
Well, the Manchus, right, they were originally known as the Jurchens.
Okay.
They were farming people from the northeast,
Okay.
what we know as Manchuria today.
Gotcha.
But they weren't just farmers. They were also skilled horsemen and archers, pretty formidable.
Right.
And by the early 17th century, a leader emerged who really unified them.
Okay.
Nurhaci.
Okay.
He was a brilliant strategist. He actually spoke Chinese and Mongolian fluently, which was really important. It allowed him to understand his rivals
Yeah.
and form those crucial alliances.
So he wasn't just a military leader.
No.
He was really playing the long game, huh?
He was.
Thinking ahead.
Understanding different cultures, how to build power.
Yeah.
And he saw the Ming Dynasty weakening.
Okay.
They were really plagued by economic troubles and all these power struggles.
Right.
So Nurhaci, he strategically relocates the Manchu capital
Okay.
to captured Ming cities.
Oh, wow.
So he's chipping away at their territory,
Yeah.
their influence.
So it's almost like he's turning the tables?
He is.
Yeah.
He's using their own cities against them.
Wow.
And then there's this fascinating document, the Seven Grievances.
Yeah, the Seven Grievances.
Where Nurhaci, lays out all his issues with the Ming.
Yeah.
Basically a declaration of independence.
Right, a declaration of independence, but it's also like a really savvy political move.
It is.
He's not just complaining, he's saying, look, we can fix this.
He's saying we're the ones who are going to fix what's broken.
Right. He's like presenting himself as the solution.
Exactly.
So he wasn't just trying to like overthrow the Ming.
No.
He wanted to replace them.
Right.
Yeah.
He wanted to claim that mandate of heaven.
The mandate of heaven, yeah.
The idea that the ruler has the divine right to govern.
Right.
Huge for legitimacy in China.
So it's not enough just to win battles.
No,
you have to
no.
convince people you actually have the right to rule.
Exactly.
So how did they do that?
Well, Nurhaci didn't live to see the Ming completely fall, but his successors were ready.
Okay.
But claiming that mandate of heaven, it's not a walk in the park.
Yeah, I bet. And things got even more complicated.
They did.
Because when his son, Hong Taiji, died suddenly,
Yeah.
and his heir, Fulin, was just a kid, right?
Just a kid, 5 years old.
5 years old. I mean, that's the perfect time for the Ming to strike back.
You would think so. A huge moment of vulnerability for the Manchus.
Right.
And the Ming, they had their problems, but they could have capitalized on this.
Yeah.
But they were facing a different threat.
Okay.
This rebel leader, Li Ziqi, who captured Beijing,
Wow.
forced the last Ming emperor to take his own life.
Oh, wow.
So suddenly, the dynasty's gone. The door is wide open.
Talk about a turning point. I mean, the Ming are gone, but now you have this rebel leader.
Yeah.
So where do the Manchus fit into all this?
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
You've got Wu Sangui,
Wu Sangui.
a Ming general tasked with defending the Great Wall
Okay.
from both the rebels and the Manchus.
Right.
Talk about a tough spot.
Yeah.
Fight both enemies or pick a side.
Oh, man.
He chose to ally with the Manchus
Really?
against the rebels.
Wow.
And that decision changed the course of Chinese history.
So Wu Sangui, a Ming general, teams up with the Manchus. What happens next?
You have the Battle of Shanhai Pass.
Okay.
It becomes a crucial turning point. Wu Sangui and
Dorgon.
He was the Manchu regent,
Okay.
ruling on behalf of the child emperor.
Right.
They joined forces, and they crushed those rebel forces.
Oh.
This victory paves the way for the Manchus to march into Beijing.
Oh, wow. So the Manchus, from outside of China proper, end up in control of the capital.
They do.
That's a huge power move.
It is.
But claiming the capital doesn't mean you control the whole country, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
The Manchus were smart, though. Really smart. They held a formal funeral for the fallen Ming emperor,
Oh, wow.
presented themselves as the legitimate successors,
Right.
the ones to bring stability back to China.
Smart. So it's like, we're not here to destroy, we're here to rebuild.
Exactly.
But conquering the rest of the empire, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, that took a lot longer. 17 years to fully subdue all resistance and establish their rule.
Wow, so they had to be strategic,
They did.
both militarily and politically.
Oh, absolutely. And remember, we're talking about a vast territory, diverse people, different loyalties.
Right.
The Manchus had to find a way to consolidate their power over all of it.
Which is no easy feat.
No easy feat at all, especially with a child emperor on the throne.
Yeah, how do you even manage that?
Well, young Fulin, the Shunzi emperor,
Okay.
he had some powerful people in his corner.
Like who?
His mother, Empress Dowager Xiaoshuang,
Okay.
a force to be reckoned with, she was.
Yeah.
Incredibly intelligent, knew how to maneuver within the king court.
So she was protecting her son's interests.
Absolutely. And then you have Dorgon, the regent.
Right, Dorgon. He was essentially ruling for Fulin while he was too young.
He was.
This seems like a complicated figure.
He is. He made some decisions that, helped stabilize the dynasty,
Okay.
but some that really backfired.
Yeah, what?
Well, he kept Beijing as the capital,
Okay.
which was a good move for unifying the empire.
Right.
But he also enacted the Q Order in 1645.
The Q order, right. Yeah.
That's the one that forced Han Chinese men to adopt the Manchu hairstyle.
That's it. Shave the front of the head, wear the rest in a long braid.
The Q.
The Q. For the Manchus, it was a symbol of loyalty,
Right.
visually distinguishing themselves and their supporters.
Yeah.
But for the Han Chinese, humiliating imposition.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Rejection of their cultural identity.
Right. And a constant reminder that they're under Manchu rule.
Exactly. It was about more than just hair. It was about control,
Yeah.
cultural dominance.
So it led to a lot of resistance.
It did, yeah. Widespread resistance, even violent uprisings. They had won the military battles, but now they're facing a new challenge:
Yeah.
how to rule over a diverse population
Right.
that resented their authority.
This is going to be a big theme throughout their reign.
It is. It's a challenge that would define much of their reign.
We'll have to see how they navigate that. So we've got this new dynasty trying to really get a grip on this vast empire.
Yeah.
And you've got this young emperor right in the middle of it all.
Just starting his reign.
And it's not just any young emperor.
Yeah.
It's the Kangxi emperor.
Kingxi. Okay.
Came to the throne at 7 years old.
7 years old. Wow.
But he goes on to rule for 61 years.
61 years. That's incredible.
Longest reigning emperor in Chinese history.
Wow. But he must have faced some, major challenges, really.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially at the beginning.
Especially at the beginning. You've still got the Q order.
Right.
Causing unrest,
Yeah.
resentment among the Han Chinese.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Kangxi has to deal with the three feudatories.
The three feudatories, right. Remind me, who were they again?
So essentially, they were powerful regional lords,
Okay.
granted a lot of territory, autonomy in southern China,
Okay.
as a reward for helping the Manchus conquer the Ming.
It was a strategic move at the time.
It was.
But it ended up, creating this threat.
Yeah, to the central power of the king.
So they were like mini kingdoms, almost.
Yes, almost a state within a state.
Right.
As Kangxi gets older, starts asserting his authority, the three feudatories, they see their power being challenged.
Yeah.
And in 1673, they rebel.
Okay, so this must have been a huge test for him.
It was.
He was what, in his 20s at this point?
Yeah, early 20s.
Yeah.
It's the defining moment in his reign. The revolt of the three feudatories.
Yeah.
Brutal 8-year war.
8 years.
Kangxi emerges victorious, though.
Okay.
Crushes the rebellion.
Good for him.
Centralizes power. Proves himself to be, a decisive and capable ruler.
Yeah.
Really solidifies his control.
So he tackles this internal threat.
Yep.
He wasn't just focused on internal affairs, right?
No, he wasn't. He was expanding the empire.
Yeah.
Kangxi launches these military campaigns
Okay.
against the Zungars,
Dungars.
powerful Mongol group in Central Asia.
Okay.
Secures king control over the region.
Got it.
He also incorporates Taiwan into the Qing Empire.
Taiwan.
Had been under the control of descendants of Ming loyalists.
Interesting. So he's expanding in all directions.
He is.
But he also has to deal with Russia,
Right, to the north.
this rising power.
Yeah, they're expanding eastwards.
Yeah.
You've got clashes over territory in the Amur River region.
Right.
But Kangxi, he chooses to negotiate rather than get into a protracted conflict.
Okay.
So in 1689, he signs the Treaty of Nerchinsk.
Treaty of Nerchinsk.
It defines the border between the two empires.
Okay.
Helps establish a period of relative peace.
This treaty, it was significant for another reason too, right?
It was. It was China's first formal treaty
Oh, wow.
with a European power.
Okay.
Really marked a shift in how the Qing Dynasty viewed the world.
Interesting. So up to this point, it's like they had this very inward-looking perspective,
They did.
but now they have to engage on a whole new level
Exactly.
because of these, like, European powers.
Right. So Kangxi was clearly a skilled military leader,
Yeah.
diplomat.
Right.
But he wasn't just a warrior king.
No.
He was known for his interest in culture, scholarship.
Yeah.
He was a patron of the arts and sciences.
Okay.
One of his most significant achievements was commissioning the Kangxi Dictionary,
Oh, right. The Kangxi
a
Dictionary.
monumental work of Chinese lexicography,
Yeah. Yeah.
still in use today.
I mean, that's incredible.
He also supported the compilation of other important texts,
Okay.
promoted Confucian learning, helped solidify Qing cultural authority.
So he's trying to build a strong and stable empire,
He is.
not just through military might,
No,
but also through cultural influence.
exactly. And to a large extent, he succeeded.
Hmm.
Kangxi's reign is often considered this, like, golden age of the Qing Dynasty.
Right, right.
But even during this period of, peace and prosperity, there were underlying issues.
Oh, okay, like what?
Well, one was the massive population growth
Right.
that occurred during Kangxi's reign,
Right.
partly due to the introduction of New World crops,
Okay.
like potatoes, corn,
Right.
increased food production.
More food, more people.
Right. But this population boom, put a strain on resources,
Right.
created social and economic tensions.
So it's like unintended consequences.
It is.
A growing population can be good,
Yeah.
but it can also lead to problems.
If the resources can't keep up.
Yeah, for sure.
Another issue was corruption
Okay.
within the bureaucracy.
Right.
Starts to become more widespread.
So even during this golden age, there are cracks starting to appear.
That's right.
Okay.
And these cracks would only widen in the years to come.
So we move on to his successors then.
We do.
Yangzheng and Qianlong.
Yangzheng and Qianlong.
They're often like grouped together with Kangxi
They are.
as like these symbols of king greatness.
Yeah.
But their reigns also see the empire facing like new challenges.
Yeah. Increasingly complex challenges.
Yeah. So Yangzheng's reign was relatively short
It was.
compared to his father and his son, right?
Yes. Only
Right.
ruled for 13 years.
Okay.
But he was an effective administrator.
Okay.
Implemented reforms, streamlined the government, improved tax collection.
Okay, so very practical.
Yeah. He was also known for his ruthlessness,
No.
dealing with corruption, opposition.
So he was like continuing to build upon the foundations laid by Kangxi.
He was.
And then you have Qianlong,
Qianlong, yeah.
another long-reigning emperor,
Another one.
peak of king power.
Yeah, Qianlong's reign. Really remarkable.
Yeah.
He ascended the throne in 1735,
Okay.
ruled for 60 years,
Wow.
matching his grandfather's record.
What's crazy?
Under his leadership, the Qing Empire reached its greatest territorial extent.
Okay.
He consolidated control over Xinjiang,
Okay.
Tibet,
Yeah.
parts of Burma.
Wow.
He oversaw this flourishing of arts and culture.
So a real golden age.
It was. He was known for his 10 great campaigns.
The 10 Great Campaigns, right. These massive military expeditions
Yeah,
showcased the might of the King Army.
exactly.
But they were costly,
They were.
involved a lot of bloodshed.
They did.
But they were successful.
They were successful in expanding the empire, securing its borders.
Right.
However, they also drained the treasury, planted the seeds for future problems.
Interesting. So even as they're reaching this height of power,
Yeah,
there are these underlying factors
Yeah.
that will contribute to their decline.
absolutely. And this is where the multi-ethnic nature of the Qing Dynasty becomes even more important to consider.
Right.
They had to constantly navigate these complexities
Yeah.
of governing this vast empire.
Yeah, with all these different people,
Different populations.
competing interests.
Yeah. We talked about how the Qing emperors presented themselves differently to different groups
Right.
within the empire.
Like adopting different titles.
Different titles.
Emphasizing different aspects of their rule.
Yeah, depending on the audience.
Right. So to the Han Chinese, they were the sons of heaven.
Emphasizing Confucian legitimacy.
Right.
Their role as upholders of traditional values.
Yeah.
To the Mongols, they were Bogda Khans,
Oh, wow.
evoking the legacy of Genghis Khan,
Right.
appealing to their nomadic traditions.
Right.
And to the Tibetans, they presented themselves as patrons of Tibetan Buddhism.
So it's like they were playing different roles,
They were.
depending on who they were dealing with.
Exactly. Very strategic.
Yeah, very strategic.
To maintain power in this diverse empire.
And for a long time, it worked.
It did, yeah.
But as the 18th century draws to a close,
Yeah.
new challenges emerge
They do.
that would test their ability to adapt and survive.
Yeah.
We left off talking about the Qing at their peak, this huge, powerful empire. But history has a way of humbling even the mightiest.
It really does.
So what happened? What led to their decline?
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? Because some of those seeds of decline, they were sown during the good times.
Oh, okay.
Like back with Kangxi and Qianlong.
Right. All that population growth.
Exactly. More people, more economic activity, sure. But it also means more mouths to feed.
Yeah, more competition for everything.
Exactly. And by the late 18th century, that strain on resources, it's starting to show.
Okay.
The government, not as efficient as it once was.
Right.
You see more corruption in the bureaucracy. And people, well, they start to get restless.
Yeah, makes sense. If you're struggling, you start looking at who's in charge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's all happening while this new player arrives on the scene. The West.
The West, right.
Yeah.
Especially Great Britain.
Great Britain, yeah. The British East India Company, they were really looking to expand trade, especially in tea.
Tea, oh yeah. Huge in Europe at this time.
Oh, yeah, all the rage. But the king, they had a very different view of all this.
How so?
Well, they were pretty self-sufficient. They saw trade with foreigners as a privilege, something they granted, not something they needed.
So they weren't exactly rolling out the red carpet for these Western traders.
Not really, no. They had strict rules, where and how foreigners could do business. Limited.
But the British, they were driven by profit. I mean, they weren't going to give up easily.
Oh, absolutely not. And they found something the Chinese did want.
What's that?
Opium.
Opium, right. This is where things get complicated.
Oh, yeah. The British East India Company had this monopoly on opium production in India.
Okay.
And they saw it, well, as a way to pry open that Chinese market.
Right. Create a trade balance that favors them.
Exactly. So they start smuggling in massive amounts of opium.
And I imagine a lot of people got addicted.
Sadly, yes.
A lot of people.
So the king, they're facing this crisis.
They are. A growing opium epidemic, draining their economy, weakening their society.
What did they do? How did they try to deal with it?
So the Dogwang emperor, he was really worried.
Yeah.
And he appointed Lin Zexu.
Okay.
He was a strong official.
Okay.
To handle the opium problem.
All right. So what did Lin Zexu do?
He didn't mess around. Confiscated and destroyed massive amounts of opium.
Wow. Directly challenging the British.
He was.
Well,
Bold move. Yeah, what did the British do?
They didn't like it, not one bit.
Wow.
Saw it as an attack on their trade, on their rights.
Right.
And that leads to the first Opium War.
Yeah.
Breaks out in 1839.
The Opium War, yeah.
And this really showed just how weak the Qing military was.
Really?
Yeah, despite their size, all that history, they were no match for the British. Technology,
The British were just too advanced.
They were. The Chinese, well, they were defeated, forced to sign these humiliating treaties.
Right, starting with the Treaty of Nanjing in 1842.
That's right, the beginning of the unequal treaties.
Yeah, those treaties that would cause problems for China for decades.
They did, yeah. Forced them to open more ports to foreign trade.
Okay.
Cede Hong Kong to the British.
Oh, wow.
Pay reparations. The Opium War, a real turning point, marked the beginning of China's decline.
As a global power.
Yeah, showed the world that the Qing, they were vulnerable.
So all this pressure from the West, but they're also dealing with internal problems.
Oh yeah, plenty of those.
What about the Taiping Rebellion?
Oh, the Taiping Rebellion. Massive uprising. Starts in 1850.
Okay.
Lasts for 14 years.
14 years.
Led by Hung Xiquan.
Hmm.
Charismatic guy. Claimed to be the younger brother of Jesus.
Wow, that's quite a claim.
It is. But it resonated with people.
Yeah, if you're struggling looking for answers.
Exactly. They were disillusioned with the government.
Right, and the economy.
Exactly. The Taiping rebels, they set up their own kingdom in the south, had their own reforms, social and economic.
So they were challenging the king's power.
Oh, yeah, but also the whole Confucian order.
The foundation of Chinese society for centuries.
Exactly. This is a major challenge to the Qing Dynasty's legitimacy.
So how'd they handle it?
Brutal conflict.
Yeah.
Civil war that devastated China.
Yeah.
Millions of deaths.
Oh, wow.
Took a huge toll on the king, militarily and financially.
Right.
They put down the rebellion, but they were weakened.
Expose their inability to really fix the problem.
Yeah, the deep-seated problems.
So it's like they're getting hit from all sides at this point.
They were. And it didn't let up. The Second Opium War
Oh, no.
breaks out in 1856.
Again.
Yeah. The British again wanted even more from the king.
And this is when the British and French, they looted the Summer Palace, right?
Yeah, 1860. Devastating.
Yeah.
A real humiliation for the king. Showed how far they'd fallen.
Yeah.
Forced to sign another unequal treaty. More privileges to those Western powers. Sovereignty eroding.
So by the late 19th century, the king, they're in real trouble.
They are. Losing territory.
Yeah.
Weak military. Their own people are losing faith.
So they tried to reform, modernize.
They did, yeah.
Mm-mm.
After those opium wars, some officials realized, okay, things need to change.
Okay.
So they launched what's called the self-strengthening movement.
Oh, self-strengthening.
We're trying to adopt Western technology, industrial methods,
So try to modernize.
but also hold on to their Confucian system.
It's a tough balance.
It is. And it didn't really work. The reforms were kind of piecemeal,
Right.
lacked a real vision, and they had opposition.
From who?
Conservatives in the court
Mm-hmm.
saw this as a threat to their power, their values.
Right.
And then another defeat, the First Sino-Japanese War.
Oh, right. 1894-95.
Yeah, defeated by Japan.
A country they traditionally viewed as inferior.
Exactly. Huge blow. Lose more territory, including Taiwan.
Wow.
More calls for reform within China.
So what happened next? Did they finally embrace real change?
There were attempts. The 100 Days Reform in 1898,
Okay. The 100 Days Reform.
led by young reformers,
Okay.
wanted big changes.
Yeah.
Political, educational systems.
Okay. Sounds promising.
But it gets crushed.
By
Empress Dowager Cixi.
Cixi, powerful woman.
She was. Dominated king politics for decades.
Conservative, though.
Very. She saw these reforms as a threat to the Manchus,
Right, to their power.
to their power, yeah.
So she blocked them.
So those hoping for change are even more alienated now.
Exactly. And then the Boxer Rebellion.
1900.
Yeah, violent anti-foreign uprising.
Trying to push out foreign influence. Yeah, a last-ditch effort, almost.
Yeah.
The Boxers, they were a secret society.
Right, right.
Mixed martial arts with spiritual beliefs.
Oh, interesting.
Thought they were invulnerable to Western weapons.
Oh, wow.
So they attacked foreign missionaries, legations in Beijing.
That didn't go well, did it?
It did not. The Western powers, Japan, they sent a force.
Okay.
Crushed the rebellion, occupied Beijing. The king court, they had to flee.
Oh, wow.
Pay indemnities and make more concessions. Disaster for the Qing Dynasty. Whatever authority they had left, shattered.
So they're really on the brink now.
They are. And the final blow comes in 1911.
Okay.
A series of uprisings. The Xinhai Revolution.
The Xinhai Revolution, okay.
Led by revolutionaries, inspired by republicanism, democracy.
Oh, wow. So completely different ideas.
Yeah. They saw the king as, corrupt, outdated, wanted a modern nation.
And the king just couldn't hold on.
They couldn't. They were divided, demoralized, their army, no match. And in 1912, the last emperor, Puyi,
Yeah.
just 6 years old, he abdicates. Ends 267 years of king rule.
Wow.
And the end of over 2,000 years of imperial rule in China.
It's a remarkable story.
It really is.
What are some of the key takeaways from all of this?
Well, I think one of the biggest is that even the most powerful empires, they can fall.
Yeah.
Internal problems, external pressures, failure to adapt.
They can bring down anyone.
It can. And it reminds us that history's complex.
Yeah. The king, they had great achievements.
They did.
Expansion, culture, peace, prosperity.
Time.
But it was also built on conquest,
It was.
subjugation.
Yeah.
And they couldn't fix those underlying problems.
Those problems that ultimately brought them down.
The legacy of the king is still debated today.
It is.
A reminder of China's long history.
Yeah. Those challenges of balancing tradition and change.
Oh, that was a deep dive. We covered a lot today.
We did. From those Manchu tribes to the last emperor.
Intrigue, drama, lessons that, we can still learn from today. I hope this has inspired our listeners to keep exploring the Qing Dynasty. It's a fascinating part of history.
It really is.
Gives us insights into power, culture, change. Thanks for joining us.
Mhm.